Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. It's great to be back in beautiful British Columbia. Anna and I just arrived with the kids very early this morning, and they're a little bit grouchy, so we decided not to bring them along. They had a late night. But it is great to be back here to meet with so many good friends and to celebrate the bright future that we have of bringing home Canada's promise. As many of you already know, I got into politics to bring home the promise of Canada, to make this again a country where hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful house on a safe street, protected by proud troops under a proud flag. And I've been working towards that goal for a long time. But of course, unfortunately, after the lost Liberal decade of rising costs and crime and a falling economy now under America's thumb, that promise is broken. And the question in this election is whether you think the Liberals deserve a fourth term in power, or whether you think it's time for a change to put Canada first with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, build homes, lock up criminals, ban drugs, secure the borders, rearm our military, and rebuild our economy so we can stand up to President Trump and the Americans from a place of strength. And on that point, I strongly condemn the latest threats of tariffs the President has put forward, and I say very clearly to him that the era of Canadian economic weakness is coming to an end. While tariffs might do short-term damage to our country, my message to President Trump is that if he decides to turn on our economy, over the next 4 years, we will rebuild and relaunch our economy. We will cut taxes and remove red tape to develop our resources. We'll knock down provincial trade barriers to sell and buy across Canada. We'll sell to other markets. If President Trump doesn't want our incredible resources, talent, and products, then the rest of the world will take them. And we will open up new markets that will make us more self-reliant and strong so we can stand on our own 2 feet and stand up to the Americans. We need to reverse all of the Liberal policies of the last decade to make that happen. As you know, under the Liberals of Carney and Trudeau, housing costs have doubled, rising faster than any other G7 country. Vancouver is now the most expensive housing market in North America and the third most expensive market in the entire world, worse than New York, London, England, Chicago, Los Angeles. All of this because Liberals inflated demand with out-of-control money printing and population growth, and block supply by funding bureaucracies that prevent builders from providing houses. We have a common sense plan for that. I will axe the federal sales tax on new homes of up to $1.3 million to save buyers $65,000. I'll pressure the provinces to do the same, saving hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we'll incentivize the municipalities to free up permits, speed up approvals, and cut development charges to build 15% more per year. We'll sell off 6,000 federal buildings and thousands of acres of federal land to build the homes of the future. But for people to afford those monthly payments, we need to cut income tax. Tax is now taking up more than food, clothing, and shelter combined after the lost Liberal decade. My plan will cut income taxes by 15%, saving thousands of dollars for the average working family. We will get rid of the full carbon tax. Right now, of course, the tax still applies. The Liberals have said they're going to hide it at the gas pumps for the 30 days leading up to the election. They're the ones that brought the tax in. It's been in place for 7 years. They've said that if we don't raise it, that the planet will burn. And now they expect us to believe that they've changed their mind because they hide it from gas pumps for 30 days. We know that if Mr. Carney and the Liberals are reelected, they will bring in a bigger carbon tax that will drive our industries south where there is no carbon tax. My plan, and I'm the only one who will not only get rid of the tax, but I'll get rid of the entire carbon tax law. I will axe the tax for everyone, for everything, for real, for good, for a change. We will lower taxes. We'll pass a bring-it-home tax cut on work, investment, home building, and energy to bring home production to our country. And speaking of bringing home, we need to produce our resources for a change. That means repealing the anti-energy laws, C-69, getting rid of the energy cap the Liberals have put in that will stop oil and gas from growing in Canada. I will get rid of that cap. It means abandoning the radical net zero insanity that both Mr. Carney and Trudeau have pushed, that drives down production in Canada and drives jobs out of this nation. I will rapidly approve pipelines, mines, LNG liquefaction plants, forestry projects, and other resource endeavors that will allow us to export our goods and services overseas rather than just to the United States. This is how we're going to build an economic fortress here at home, make our own stuff and profit from our own resources. We should be the richest country in the world. We have the third biggest supply of oil, fifth biggest producer of natural gas, biggest supply of uranium and potash. We have 4 coasts, in fact, 4 oceanic coasts, or coasts to the ocean. We have the most coastline of any country in the world, but our ports are terrible. The Port of Vancouver is one of the worst ports in the world. It's ranked, I think, 368 out of 374. Imagine if we had the best port in the world in Vancouver. All the goods and services that would be moving out and coming in, supplying our customers with lower priced goods and our workers with more markets to hit around the world. That's a federal port. After the lost Liberal decade, it's broken. We're going to fix the port, make it work, get just south to the Americans. That's how we're going to break our dependence on the Americans and unleash production. We'll also do something called the shovel-ready Canada First zones. These will be areas that the governments get together and they draw a big line, a big circle. Say, inside this circle, industrial activities are pre-permitted. We have pre-permits for pipelines, mines, LNG plants, factories, and other industrial activity. So you don't have to apply and wait 9 years. It's already permitted as long as you hit the standards and specifications that are pre-published and available online. And that's how we're going to get these projects built quickly. We want to back up the trades by giving the funds to union halls to train 350,000 young tradespeople and restore the $4,000 apprenticeship grant. So we have the boots and not just the suits in order to build the future. And we want our immigrants to get the jobs in their professions. Right now we have 20,000 immigrant doctors and 32,000 immigrant nurses blocked from working in their professions. When I got my eye surgery done, I met the technician, and he's a surgeon, an eye surgeon in Abu Dhabi. He works in Canada for 20 days with his family, and then he goes to Abu Dhabi for 10 days doing eye surgeries. So he's qualified to be an eye surgeon in UAE, but only in Canada can he only be a technician. It's almost like Emirati eyeballs are different than Canadian eyeballs. It's nuts. They say in Toronto, if you have a heart attack, don't call 911, call an Uber because the driver is probably a doctor. And so we have our doctors driving taxis rather than working on the front lines of healthcare. But we need to change that. We know the solution. We just need to do in the professions what we did in the trades back in 1952, and that has worked ever since. We have a red seal in the trades for 70 years. If you want to be a mechanic, you take the red seal. You get a stamp, and you can work as a mechanic anywhere in Canada. So what we need to do is create a national blue seal and then invite the provinces to sign on to it and recognize anyone who's got a blue seal to work in a hospital, so that an immigrant doctor, nurse, engineer, architect comes here, they take the blue seal, they get licensed, they get working, making more money, paying more tax, reducing the wait times in our hospital, bringing home better paychecks. But we want them to bring those paychecks home to safe neighborhoods. So we have to stop the crime. Crime has been raging out of control after the lost Liberal decade. They have passed catch-and-release criminal justice, where they allow the same repeat violent offenders out again and again. In Vancouver, they had to arrest the same 40 offenders 6,000 times. So, you know, that means each offender is arrested every 2 days on average for a whole year. They're basically doing crime all day, every day, but they're being released. I'm going to repeal that law. It's C-75, and I'm going to ban anyone with a long track record of crime from bail, probation, parole, or house arrest. There will be mandatory jail time and no escape from it. And for serious repeat offenders, there will be life sentences. That includes for fentanyl. You know, if you sell 40 milligrams of fentanyl, you've sold enough fentanyl to kill 20 people. If you are selling fentanyl in mass quantities, you are a mass murderer, because there's guarantee. It's like firing a gun into a crowded stadium. You might not know who you're killing, but there's almost a certainty that somebody's going to die. So I've announced that we will impose mandatory life sentences for anyone caught trafficking or producing more than 40 milligrams of fentanyl. We will also secure our borders with high-powered scanners and 2,000 more CBSA officers to interrupt stolen cars, drugs, guns. We'll have high-powered surveillance towers to stop border crossing, and we will pay for this by canceling the ridiculous Liberal gun grab, where they go after licensed, law-abiding, trained and tested sport shooters and hunters, costing billions of dollars in law enforcement resources that go after people who are not a problem. Hunters are not the problem. The problem is the criminals. So we lock up the criminals, secure the borders, stop the crime, and invest in treatment and recovery to get people off drugs and bring our loved ones home drug-free. We'll rebuild our military and reestablish our alliances overseas with good democratic allies, trading partners, and friends. We're going to be, this is the choice we have now. You know, after the lost Liberal decade of rising costs and crime and a falling Canadian economy now under the thumb of the Americans, are we going to give the Liberals a fourth term in power? Or do you think it's time to put Canada first with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, lock up criminals, build homes, unleash our resources, bring home our jobs so that we can stand up to the Americans from a position of strength? And most of all, bring home the Canadian promise in a country where anyone who works hard gets a great life in a beautiful home on a safe street under a proud flag. Canada first. Let's bring it home. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's
Thank
take
you,
some
everyone.
questions.
We will now take questions from the floor.
Oh, okay. Hi, my name is Abe Cook from Hana TV, Korea News.
Thank you.
Many young people are finding it increasingly difficult to find employment within Canada.
Mm-hmm.
For example, even graduates from Canadian top universities are considering moving to the US for work. This reflects a lack of large-scale companies capable of absorbing young talent. What is your vision for fostering domestic companies to address this issue, and what is the Conservative Party's plan to improve youth welfare and create more job opportunities?
Thank you very much for your question. After the lost Liberal decade of rising taxes, costs, and crime, and a falling economy that's now under America's thumb, we can't give them a fourth term. It used to be that prior to this lost Liberal decade, if a young person got a decent education, they could go out and get an excellent job that would buy them a house in a beautiful neighborhood. But what is happening is our economy is being strangled by taxes, red tape, and bureaucracy. So it's hard for businesses to grow here. Capital goes where capital grows. Right now, taxes are so high that you can't get a return, so businesses have moved $500 billion to the U.S. that creates shopping centers and businesses and mines and builds homes. Canadian investment creating American jobs. I want to bring that home. We're going to pass a bring it home tax cut on work, investment, energy, home building, and making stuff in Canada. We're going to bring home our resources by quickly approving resource projects. That will bring massive job creation, particularly in the trades where guys who wear boots and hard hats will be making $250,000 a year as pipe fitters and boilermakers and welders, but also there'll be business jobs in corporate headquarters in Vancouver, where you'll need accountants and business strategists and marketing teams who will be working to sell those resources overseas. That is how we're going to unleash the incredible potential of our country, because we can and we will be the richest country in the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Next
you.
question.
Go ahead.
So first of all, welcome to Surrey, and it's nice to see you again. You're pretty and smart.
Yes, that's right.
So welcome, Mrs. Polyev. Mr. Polyev, welcome again.
I think she's pretty and smart too. You weren't just.
Oh
saying
yes, that's right. You as well, Anna. So, Mr. Polyev, Vancouver is the third least affordable housing market, as you mentioned in your opening, behind Hong Kong and Sydney. Most newcomers and young people have given up on the dream of home ownership. In fact, my kids this morning were talking with me about this interview, and they said, "Do you think we'll ever own our own home?" And I laughed and I said, "Sophia and Taylor, I don't even own my own home. So it's looking bleak for me. I don't know about their future." We hear a lot of politicians promise to make housing affordable. How is your plan any different?
Mm-hmm. So, a great question. Look, after the lost Liberal decade, housing costs have literally doubled. They've gone up faster in Canada than in any other G7 country over the last decade. If we give them a fourth Liberal term in power, it'll only get worse. Why is housing so expensive? The answer is, what's going into the cost? You break down the cost of a house. What is it? Is it that all of a sudden lumber costs more? No, that's not it. Land? Well, we have the most land per capita of almost any developed country in the world, so we have no shortage of land. Labor? We actually have unemployed trades workers, so it's not like we've run out of workers. What's driving the cost? Well, the answer is, in Vancouver, 60% of the cost of a new home is government. It's taxes, which comprise 30% of the home. Then there's the delays, the lobbyists, the consultants, the lawyers. All of that equals 60% of the cost of a new home in Vancouver today. If you want to look it up, C.D. Howe did a study. They compared the cost of building a home to the cost of buying a home in Vancouver. And the gap was $1.3 million. So the cost of a brand newly built home is $1.3 million higher than the cost of the physical cost of building it. So that's all government. I'm going to cut that cost down by getting rid of the GST on new homes, pressuring the provinces to do the same, using infrastructure funds to incentivize municipalities to speed up permits, free up land, cut development charges, sell off 6,000 federal buildings, thousands of acres of federal land, and we are going to cap population growth so that it's always below the growth in the housing stock. We should be adding housing at a faster rate than we add people in order to get rid of the gap that has formed over the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. That will mean that we bring home the promise of Canada, that anybody who works hard gets a nice house. You deserve one, so do your kids, and it's going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
Thank you, Mr. Poirier. Debbie Chen from Qingdao. As we know, the Eastern Canada's auto industry got many promise for subsidy, but the BC's lumbers and the seafood industry also suffering. So we used to give us some support, the real money to support the industry.
Yeah, it's a good point. One of the worst things about the lost Liberal decade is that they have abused and ignored our Western Canadian industries. They did. The Liberals had everyone focuses on Trump, but the Liberals had 3 presidents to work with: Obama, Biden, and Trump. And they never got the softwood lumber tariffs lifted. When Prime Minister Harper was in power, he got the softwood lumber tariffs lifted for a full decade. He did it 80 days after he became Prime Minister. In fact, the Americans even reimbursed the tariffs they had collected. Then Trudeau took office, the tariffs went back in, Biden doubled the tariffs, and now Trump is threatening to raise them even further. One of my top priorities in negotiating with the United States is to get the tariffs off our lumber. In the meantime, I think the best way to spark demand for British Columbia lumber is to build more homes. If we can supercharge home building, then we'll create new demand, domestic demand for the wood that goes into those homes, creating jobs both for the trades workers and the loggers. And that'll be one of the ways we go about boosting the lumber industry in this country. We're also going to stop the insane environmental extremism of Fisheries and Opens Canada that are assaulting the fisheries in this province. Our fisheries are under attack by government. I want to allow our fisheries to grow again, give more local control over the licenses and the quota to real fishermen, not just corporations who have who own the licenses, so that BC can once again bring home the catch. Thank you very much.